Hello, good day to you. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching us from, at whatever time you're watching this broadcast from. You're welcome to the show. My name is Benedict Olomu, and you're watching Refresh Nigeria. Today I'm going to ask a very critical question. Not so critical, it's a very simple question. But in answering that simple question, I am going to offend many people. So this is a disclaimer in the beginning, that if you feel offended by some of the answers I'm going to provide in this broadcast, I do not apologize in advance. I'm just giving you notice, so that if at any point you feel uncomfortable, you are actually answering the question for me. Because the question is this: how ready are we to change Nigeria? And when I say we, I'm referring to everybody. How ready are we? The question may not sound very interesting. It may not look very difficult. Some of you can just answer it very easily and say, oh, we are not ready. But to really and truly answer this question, we might need to offend some people. We might need to say some things that are unpalatable, that you will not find funny. So let's establish a premise. What do we want in Nigeria? Regardless of where you stand. Whether you are for the continued existence of Nigeria, for Nigeria to remain one, or whether you are for let's divide Nigeria, let's go our separate ways. Whatever the group you belong to, I am very, very sure that we all want the same thing. Those clamoring for Oduduwa Republic, Yoruba nation, those clamoring for Biafra, and even those clamoring for some other changes that are hidden in their hearts or they cannot say out. Even the North, Arewa nation, all of us clamoring for this self-determination, and those that are clamoring for a united Nigeria. All of us want the same thing. At least I believe that. Now, I'm trying to establish this now so that I can answer the question. Already, I told you that in answering the question, I'm going to offend some people. And so already I know that in mentioning that, oh, we want the same thing, whether you are for one Nigeria or you are for a divided Nigeria, we all want the same thing. Now, this statement alone, I'm sure, is offending some people. Is it offending you? Do you find it offensive? If you do, remember, I warned you before that I'm going to say some things that you don't like, that may not sound very conventional, that may not sound very politically or economically or religiously right. But for Nigeria to move forward, for Nigeria to work for all of us, we must answer these questions and we must be ready to offend some people across the aisle. We must be ready to disagree, but not be disagreeable. Okay, let's get back. We all want the same thing, whether you are for one Nigeria or for a divided Nigeria. I believe so. Call it naive, but I believe we all want the same thing. At the end of the day, we all want a land of equal opportunities for all the citizens, I believe. Whether you're from the north or from the south, regardless of the state that you're from, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your ethnicity, we all want equal opportunities. We are tired of the hunger. We're tired of the unemployment. We're tired of the insecurity. So, we all want a Nigeria that works. Yes? Let me know if you think differently. Because it is my strong belief, call it naive, call it whatever, it is my strong belief that if we had a Nigeria that works, the question of self-determination would not arise. So we need a Nigeria that works for every Nigerian, not for some tribes against others, not for some religion against the others, not for some groups of people against the others. We all need a Nigeria that works. A land of equal opportunity. A land where health care is available to all. A land where the educational system is functional and is contributing to the development of the nation. A land where infrastructure, basic infrastructure are in place, road, electricity, water supply, affordable housing. We all want these things. Right now, the Nigeria that we see is so different from this Nigeria that we seek. But how do we get there? Many of us have different theories, different solutions. But how do we get there? In fact, the better question is, are we ready to go there? Are we ready for a new Nigeria? Are we ready for a Nigeria that works for everybody? And when I say we, I'm going to make some generalization. They are not hasty. It's just to aid this conversation. So when I make certain generalization, please pardon me. Because we need to simplify these questions in order for Nigeria to work. I am personally tired of complaining and complaining and complaining every day. I am. Because it appears as though the more we complain, the worse things get. Everybody has become an expert problem analyst of Nigeria. Every day we see all manner of things that go on, things continue to decay, and then we see people who are experts at analyzing the problem of Nigeria. But it will appear as though the more we analyze the problems of Nigeria, the worse things get. So I am tired, personally, I am tired of just coming to analyze the problems of Nigeria to you. I want us to start implementing solutions, not just talking solutions, implementing them. And the beginning for me is this critical question. It is critical. Are we really ready to change Nigeria? For us to determine how ready we are to change Nigeria, we have to be ready to offend some people. We have to be ready to ask some questions that will offend some people. And we have to be ready to ask these questions along 7 lines. We have to be ready to ask this question. Are we really ready to change Nigeria along 7 lines? Along religious line, along the lines of ethnicity, along the lines of entertainment, and that includes movies, music, comedy, recreation and leisure, gambling, and so on. We have to be able to ask these questions along the lines of sports, particularly football. We have to be ready to ask this question along the lines of media, whether print media or electronic media, and even social media. We have to be ready to ask this question along the lines of education, along the lines of news. Critical, tough questions that are capable of upsetting some people. So I am warning or giving you advance notice. The questions I'm going to ask are going to be questions that will annoy you. But the level to which it annoys you will answer my question of how prepared are we to change Nigeria. If at any point you find yourself offended, at any point out of these 7 lines that I'm going to face or focus on, if you find yourself getting offended, then you have your answer on how ready are we to change Nigeria. The status quo cannot continue, and then we say we want a different Nigeria. We cannot continue to do the same thing and then expect a different result. It is time for us to ask critical questions if really we want to change Nigeria, to determine how ready are we to change Nigeria. It is critical. To determine how ready we are in Nigeria to change Nigeria, we have to ask questions. We have to be comfortable to say things like, our religious leaders are going to hell. Yes. Now, I'm beginning to offend some people. If I offended you with this statement, then you have your answer. We are not ready for a new Nigeria until we are able to say that our religious leaders are going to hell. Remove religious leader. Take the name of your favorite leader. Until we are able to say they are going to hell, we are going nowhere. That's a question along religious lines. Because of the contribution of our religious leaders. Not our religion. The contributions of our religious leaders. Note the difference to the current problem in Nigeria today, to the current state of affairs. They are all contributing to it. And the details of it will be beyond the scope of this video. But how comfortable are you with this statement that I just made? If you find it offensive, like I said before, I'm not sorry. It's just an indication of how ready we are for this country to change. We have to be ready to say things like our ethnic leaders, our tribal leaders, our traditional rulers are thieves. Our traditional rulers are thieves. Pardon me, I said it in the beginning that I'm going to make some generalization. And so I'm making the generalization now. There might be 1 or 2 out of 1,000 of these religious or traditional rulers that are not thieves. Just like there might be 1 or 2 out of the religious leaders that will not be going to hell. But allow me, indulge my generalization. For us to determine how ready we are for Nigeria to change, we must be comfortable to say these things that I'm saying. Our traditional rulers are thieves. And if we put those two together, I'm sure that nobody will be offended if I say that our political leaders are thieves. So, that one is out of the way. That's why I'm not including this in the 7 lines that we have to focus on. 7 areas. I'm sure we're not, if I say our political leaders are thieves, it's the normal thing now. But if I say our religious leaders are going to hell, now some people will be offended. Or if I say our traditional rulers are thieves, now some people will be offended. Remember, the question is, how ready are we for change? To answer this question, it will depend on you, how comfortable or offended you are to these statements or questions that I'm raising along these 7 lines. We have done 2. Our entertainment leaders, people you and I call celebrities. How offended will you be if I say that our celebrities are thieves? They are rogues. And they are destroying the very country in which we call them celebrities. If I make that statement, how offended will you be? Take whatever music celebrity, movie celebrity, comedy celebrity, whatever celebrity along the entertainment line, anyone that you hold dear, if I say that that celebrity is a rogue and that celebrity is contributing to the problem, the suffering, the insecurity that we are experiencing in Nigeria today, how offended will you be? Now that is your answer to the question, are we ready to change Nigeria? Until we come to a critical mass when we agree that yes, these people are what we say they are now in this video, then we are not ready. It means we need more enlightenment. Our football heroes. If I say that our football heroes are rogues, will you be offended? If I say that media in Nigeria is useless to us, it's useless and contributing to the insecurity, the divisions and everything in Nigeria, how offended will you be? You all have favorite electronic and print media stations. If I say that that's your favorite station, your favorite media house, whether it is print or electronic or even social media, if I say that they are the problem of Nigeria, will you be offended? Will you be offended? If I say that education in Nigeria is useless, how offended will you be? If I say that news in Nigeria is just advert for corrupt politicians and useless to the generality of Nigeria, how will you feel? So these are critical statements that we must get comfortable to say, or critical questions that we must be comfortable to ask. And if we are not comfortable to ask them, then I'm sorry to say we are not ready to change Nigeria. Which of these questions or which of the statements do you find most annoying? Which of them offends you the most? If you're able to watch this video up to this point, which of them offends you the most? Which of them annoys you the most? That will give you an indication of how ready we are to change Nigeria. But if you're able to watch this video up to this point, then I'm guessing you were not as offended as I expected that you will be. So congratulations, you're one of those people that are ready for a Nigeria that is fair to all. You're ready to change Nigeria. And at the heart of our ability to say these critical things, ask this critical question, is for us to take action. If you are ready to change Nigeria, then it means that we are ready to take action. And one of the action that we must be ready to take right now, remember, the bulk of the ideas that I'm pushing forward right now have to do with leaders and followers. Because Nigeria has both of them. We have a leadership problem, we have a followership problem. So our ability to solve the leadership problem and solve the followership problem is what will determine if we will get a Nigeria that works for all of us. Regardless of whether you want a Nigeria that is united or a Nigeria that is divided. Because the leadership problem will continue, whether Nigeria is united or divided. If you have a Nigeria that is united, the current leadership problem that we have will continue. And whether you have Oduduwa Republic or Biafra or Arewa nation, the leadership problem will still continue in those states. Unless we solve or answer this critical question. Or come to the realization that we need to solve both the leadership problem and the followership problem. And for us to solve the leadership problem, we need to go to the root of the source, the recruitment houses for leaders in Nigeria, the political parties. That's where we need to go. We need to go to that root. We keep shouting, oh, we want a leader that will fix Nigeria. We want a leader, we want a leader, we want a leader. Yes. Where do the leaders come from? Political parties. And the way the political parties in Nigeria are structured, they are structured in such a way that they benefit from the ills of all these seven areas. They benefit from the ills of all the 7 areas. Yes. And these political parties are also structured in such a way that only the worst of us are thrown up for election. Starting with the fact that they put such high out of reach of the average Nigerian nomination fees for elective positions. Once you set a nomination form, the cost of nomination form that is above 100,000 naira, what have you done? You have shielded the bulk of Nigerians out of the political parties. They are not able to run for office anymore. It becomes a cash and carry politics that we operate. It becomes politics of the highest bidder. Politics of rogues. So if we are going to solve the leadership problem in Nigeria, we have to go to the recruitment houses for leaders, and we have to go to the political parties. And as it is now, the political parties are not designed to solve it. So you and I need to come and start a fresh political party where we set all these ideologies clearly. We set them out. Open up the political space for all Nigerians. I keep saying it. That's the only way to fix Nigeria, solve the leadership problem. Calling for secession or self-determination will not solve it. It will only localize the problem. You have Biafra today, all the corrupt and rogue politicians that are Igbo, they will be concentrated in Igbo land. And the people that are using them now to bring about the underdevelopment of Nigeria will still continue to use them to bring about the underdevelopment of Biafra. Same Oduduwa. So the solution is we must fix the leadership problem. Whether we are united or divided, we must fix the leadership problem. And that means we have to set up a political party, or we bring the political parties to conform to these general ideologies that I've proposed here today. So I want to encourage you. It will be very difficult for us to get the other political parties, 19 of them now, to get them to reform. To get them to reform based on these ideologies that I just listed and many more. But it is easier for us to start a fresh political party that will imbibe all of these ideologies that I'm talking about. Ideologies that will open up the space. A teacher should be able to buy nomination form and run for president in this country. Any journalist should be able to do the same. A mechanic should be able to do the same. It should not be for only those who have stolen so much wealth. And they come and they drive a propaganda that you need experience. Experience of what? Experience of looting and stealing. A fashion designer should be able to run for president in this country. But the way it is now, from the political parties, the way they are structured, they have already disenfranchised the majority of the people. Nobody should need to spend 1 billion naira, 5 billion naira to win any election in Nigeria. Because that would simply mean that we are doing money politics. Politics of the highest bidder, cash and carry politics. And that will not help Nigeria. The more we continue to do that, the worse Nigeria we get. It doesn't matter how long or how loud we complain. So like I would say, at this point, if I offended you in any of the statements that I made, I would say don't be offended. I won't apologize for it. Because until we are comfortable to make those statements, we are not ready for a Nigeria that works. We are not ready to fix the leadership problem in Nigeria. And as well as the followership problem. To fix the followership problem is another thing entirely. It is the free food stamp and social welfare law. That is what will fix the followership problem. But for us to fix the leadership problem, we need to set up a fresh political party. I want to implore you to join us We are at that stage where we create a fresh political party, a new political party that is designed for Nigeria. How can you say a political party is designed for Nigeria and the political party does not have clear-cut guidelines on how much a Nigerian should pay for nomination form for the highest position of president? Nobody knows. They keep changing it. In Labour Party, the former Labour Party NLC chairman was saying that they wanted it to be free. But right now we have seen what Aburi has done with it. Highest bidder. For common governor in Edo now, they are charging 30 million naira for nomination form and expression of interest. How much will that candidate spend for campaigns? So, in other words, we are looking at upwards of 500 million naira because somebody wants to run for governor. How many Nigerians, how many labor workers can afford that? So already you see that the majority, 99% of Nigerians are already disenfranchised from running for that office of governor in Edo State. Yes, because a political party decided to set a very high nomination form. This, our political party, is going to be different. If you set a nomination form of 50,000 naira for governor of Edo State, it will open up the space. You see, many people all come. Should it not be an all-comer affair? Because some people argue and say that, oh, no, it should not be an all-comer affair. It should not be every Tom, Dick, and Harry that should come. Really? Are we not all supposed to be equal in Nigeria? Once we meet the criteria for president, should it not be open to all? Oh, every time it means mechanic can come. It means, okay, so a mechanic does not have the right to be a president in Nigeria? If he meets the minimum criteria of school SAT? Should we continue to disenfranchise and shield out the people that have the possible best ideas? And the criteria we're using to shield them out is to set a very high nomination form so that only those who have looted Nigeria can continue to be qualified? That must change if we want a Nigeria that changes. And you will discover that the religious leaders are not talking about this. The ethnic leaders, the traditional rulers are not talking about this. The so-called entertainment leaders, the celebrities, whether music, movie, comedy, recreation, they're not talking about this. Football leaders are not talking about this. The media leaders are not talking about this. Educational leaders are not talking about this. The news does not tell you this. That's why I say that we have to get comfortable making the statements that I made earlier if we want a Nigeria that really works for all. We need political parties that have very low barrier of entry when it comes to nomination form. Very, very low. That political space needs to be open to every Nigerian. So long as you are a graduate, so many graduates we have in Nigeria, so long as you are an OND holder, not even HND now, or even SCUSAT according to our constitution, unless it is changed, and you are above the age of 40, you should be able to run for president of this country. If you are above the age of 35, you should be able to run for governor in this country. You should not need to consider the size of your pocket before you run. Only what we need is the ideas you have in your head and your track record of contribution to the society and your integrity. Those are the things that we need, not how much money you have stolen or looted. And that is why the leadership problem, for us to solve it, we must go to the root, we must go to the source. And that means we have to go to the political parties. I want to encourage you again to join us. We have come up with a name. We need representatives across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. I'm going to put it, we have some volunteers already, but we need more. We want this to be something that cuts across the length and breadth of Nigeria. We have over 8,000 wards. We need representatives from those 8,000 wards. Whoever you are, please, across these 8,000 wards, don't take this video lightly. If you know that you are in any of the wards in Nigeria, any of the states in Nigeria, any of the local governments in Nigeria, and you have school cert, WAEC or whatever, and you have a handwork or you have a degree, and you have ideas on how to fix Nigeria, then you should not think about the size of your pocket before you should run for office. And don't let anybody tell you that it's a dirty game. We need you to join us to create this fresh political party. That is the only way to save Nigeria. Not becoming expert problem analyst of Nigeria or expert town crier for Nigeria, wailing and weeping and complaining online, offline, social media, in real life. All those abusing Tinubu, it will not work. And I see that that's what we are doing. Right now, there are two groups of people, or maybe three. Those that are shouting in support of Tinubu and his administration, and those that are abusing Tinubu and supporting their candidate in preparation for next elections, and those who simply are too hungry or too afraid to even talk. But becoming problem analyst or expert problem analyst is not going to fix Nigeria. We need to start taking steps. And if we're going to solve the leadership problem, we have to start from the political parties. You have to join us. This political party is not going to be a political party like any other in Nigeria. It's not. And you need to join because Nigeria needs you. This is a time for you to do something for Nigeria that will not cost you anything. It won't cost you anything. Nobody's going to be requiring you to give money. All we need is your ideas and your commitment. That's all. And we need to solve the followership problem, the free food and social welfare law. We need it. And we need you. Nigeria needs you. All the while you have been asking, what has Nigeria done for me? Okay, for this once, I'm going to ask you, what are you willing to do for Nigeria? I'm not asking you to come and die for Nigeria. No. I'm asking you, what can you do for Nigeria? Can you not? Just click the link in the description and join in this move. Let's create a political party for Nigeria, by Nigeria, and of Nigerians. That is what this is about. I'll give you the name of the political party shortly. But let us see those who are interested. Please click the link and join. Nigeria will work. Nigeria is working by the grace of God. God bless you.